Greetings, I'm Professor Hobo and welcome to another Hobo Technos product review. Today we have the 1000 watt ALP propane generator. Now this is a 100% propane generator. There is no gasoline option, which makes it lighter and more compact than a dual fuel generator. ALP promises a lot of bang for the buck. In other words, a lot of power for a little bit of propane. But how efficient is it, or is it any good? Let's find out. HOBOTECH. Now, as you can see behind me, there is plenty of snow on the ground. It's quite cold. So we're gonna go ahead and bundle up and get along with the testing of this. So here we are with the ALP generator in my 40-degree garage. There is literally snow and ice right outside the door, and the door's open so the cat can go in and out. So I am not going to wear my lab coat today. This is actually way too cold to be doing this. So here is the ALP generator inside of its box. Now I have opened it just to see what was inside, but I haven't taken it out yet. So let's take a closer look at what we got. Here's the steel braided hose for running to a large propane tank, the user manual, and some kind of how to repair your generator guide. Then we have the generator itself. I did ask for a blue one, and they sent me a blue one. There are multiple colors available. That's interesting. So if you want to know what's in the box, there you have it. Oh, they also include this very short adapter if you want to run off of one of those little green cans. I don't have one right here. And they include some battery clamps in case you want to charge a battery. Now, one thing I'm very curious about is they do not include what you'd normally get with a generator, which is oil and a spark plug wrench and a screwdriver. None of that's here. So I'm guessing they're gonna assume you're gonna buy your own oil. So make sure if you're unboxing this and you're taking it out in the desert or something and you're gonna be running it for the first time, make sure you buy oil, because it's definitely not included. I find that interesting. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I usually like it when they include the break-in oil so I don't have to go dig my oil out of storage. Now, the generator itself looks pretty nice. I really like the case. So here you have the front of the generator. This is the DC out, where you can hook in your battery clamps. Looks like it's got a little circuit breaker there. This is your on and off switch, your eco mode switch, a couple of useless USB ports. It does have parallel capability, so if you want to hook up more than one of these, you can actually parallel them. That doesn't include the cables. I'm sure that's something you got to buy separately. Here's the circuit breaker for the AC out, and the ground. If you care to ground your generator, you can ground it to there. And it has a nice little light, which is interesting. I've never seen a light on a gas generator before, but that's really handy, because if you have to go outside in the dark and deal with this, I would almost leave this light on all the time while it's running so that it kind of lights up the panel and everything. And of course, you have your LEDs over here that tell you what's going on. So here under this rubber plug is where your propane goes in. Now note, this is a propane only generator, so there is no gasoline, there is no gas tank. And up here it says push to open. Okay, well, there's your spark plug right down in there. Didn't even require any tools to get that off. That is nice. I like toolless designs, because who wants to have to get out a screwdriver every time they want to do something? Obviously, here's the exhaust port with the spark arrestor. This is CARB compliant, so you can use this in California. Here's your choke, run and start, and your pull starter. I'm gonna have to guess that the oil is behind this, which of course means it's not completely toolless. I do like this nice flush handle so it doesn't stick up high, but it's plenty big enough if you're wearing gloves to carry it. And here are the specifications for those interested. Okay, I was trying to figure out what this button in here was. I've never seen that before on a generator, but I guess it's called a primer button. So you actually push this in to prime the system. So since it's getting propane, you have to understand that there's air inside the lines. So when you turn your propane tank on, you push this, I'm assuming that lets the air out of the lines and lets the propane fill the system up. We're gonna find out how well that works with the choke And of course, as always, as I always do on these generator reviews, we're gonna place our bets as to how many pulls it's gonna take to start this thing. Now, unfortunately, this is not completely a toolless design. It does require a Phillips to get the screws off, and they don't include a screwdriver. So make sure you have your own screwdriver. I could see myself losing these every time I do an oil change. So pretty good quality stuff. Here's the air filter. You got the choke up here on the carburetor. Here's your oil fill. Everything looks very well placed, nice and solid. All the lines and wires are zip tied. It does look like it's a high quality machine. Now, very curious, there is oil on this plug, so they must have put oil in it at one point maybe to start running it, but there's no oil in it now. But it clearly had oil in it for some kind of break-in or test. It does say here that your first oil change should be 10 hours. Then after that, every 100 hours. Now, I already understand, do not run 100 hours on a generator on the same oil. You want to cut that in half. You definitely want to change the oil in this every 50 hours. Okay, they include this paper that says, fill the generator with 6.7 ounces of oil. It should be touching the bottom thread or two. Use viscosity based on the climate, so 10W40 or 20W50. Never seen that for a generator, but I do have 10W40. Okay, and it explains here, open the valve, press and hold the primer for 15-20 seconds to purge the air from the line. So this is like an addendum. It's just basically a printed paper that I guess they forgot to include these instructions in the manual, so they included this paper with them. Gives you an idea what you need to do to get this thing started. It says it generally takes 3 to 4 pulls of the rope, and it may require choke. So let's see if it actually takes 3 to 4 pulls. We'll find out once we get this thing oiled up. Now I was gonna add some of this 5W30 full synthetic because I did get this for my generators, but I don't actually like breaking in a brand new generator on full synthetic because you actually do want it to wear in that first oil change. So this might be a little too slick, even though this is the proper weight for near freezing conditions. Now what I have instead is I have this 10W30, which is a synthetic blend that I use for my other generators. But this actually has some Marvel Mystery Oil in it, and that's why this looks so gross. I've been using this container for like 3 years because it allows me to measure on the side how many ounces. So I already have a bunch of this already mixed up. So we're gonna go ahead and use this since it has Marvel Mystery Oil in it. And we'll use this as the break-in oil. And yes, I got this from the van. It says only add 6.7 ounces. That's gonna be hard to judge, but that's about as much oil as my Sportsman generator took. Well, it certainly is thick since this stuff's been out there in the near freezing conditions. It was down to 6 degrees Fahrenheit last night. A little dab will do ya. That's probably all it's gonna take right there. All right, I think we're good on the oil. So I do have a completely full, and this is a new, or very new, propane tank. I'm just gonna use the big one. I'm not gonna bother with the little one. I do need to mention that you don't get this hose with the generator, but you do get it for free using my code. This will allow you to run the generator off of a large propane tank instead of just the little bottles. You actually need to use this little hose, push it in, and then tighten it. And then you hook this hose to this hose. So it's a lot more, it makes a lot more sense. And I don't actually like using multiple hoses like this, but I guess that's how it's designed. Let's have to hope you don't have a leak. Let's go ahead and open the valve. That allows propane to flow into the generator. And then it said for 10 to 20 seconds, push the purge valve here. So I'm gonna go ahead and push that in all the way and hold it for 15 to 20 seconds. I can definitely hear propane. Oh, yep, I'm smelling propane now. Next step is to move the choke from the run to the start position. It is very cold. I am gonna expect this is not gonna start on the first 2 pulls, but I guess we'll find out. Now I am gonna go ahead and start this inside the garage. I do have the door open, we're very close to the door. I'm only gonna run it for a minute, and then we're gonna have to move it outside for the rest of the tests. But don't ever start a generator, especially a gas generator, inside an enclosed space. Now, propane is a lot safer than gasoline. It gives off a lot less noxious fumes, but this can still kill you if you run it indoors. It doesn't burn completely clean. Place your bets as to how many pulls is this going to take to start. Let's find out. There's one. There's two. Three. Okay, so there's eco mode on, eco mode off. Yep, it smells like a little buddy heater. All right, awesome. 3 pulls to start. Oh, you gotta hold the button to shut it off. That's different, and here comes Billy, so I gotta move. Okay, we got the generator started. I'm gonna go ahead and let it run for 1 hour at idle with no load. And then I'm gonna run it for 4 more hours under a 50% load or 500 watts. That'll give it a good break-in, then we'll start our actual testing. Okay, I've done 1 hour with no load, and now I'm gonna do an additional 4 hours under a 500 watt load. Let me show you how I'm gonna set up. So I have the propane generator outside the garage, and I'm gonna go ahead and close the garage door and run the solar degenerator at 500 watts. I already have it measured out using a kilowatt meter. So we're going to let it run at 500 watt load for an additional 4 hours, and I'll consider it mostly broken in. All right, we're back. It's the next day. I put this under a pretty heavy load, 500 watts, for 4 hours plus 1 hour with no load underneath it. Basically trying to quickly break the generator, and it did use some oil. I did have to add some oil after about 2 hours under that heavy load, but the last 2 hours it really didn't use a lot of oil. I'm changing it anyway, so I'm gonna put straight synthetic 5W30 in. This is a full synthetic oil. It should be perfect for this generator in these very brisk, below freezing conditions. So I'm gonna go ahead and top it up, and then we're going to weigh the propane tank to see how much propane's in it. We're gonna run this for an additional 5 hours, weigh the propane tank again, and that way we can extrapolate how many hours do you get on a 20-pound tank. So let's go ahead and get the new oil in here and get the test started. All right, now we have this scale and we have the propane tank. Now it's not completely full because I did run the generator off this for 5 hours. I didn't weigh this before I started the generator. I just assume it's gonna use a lot more fuel than it typically would. All generators, when they're breaking in, use more fuel. So I figure give it a good 5 hour break-in before I start doing any kind of tests. Go, we're zeroed out. And we're weighing it at 31.8 pounds. So let's go ahead and run the generator and see how much fuel it uses. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and use the solar degenerator at 250 watts, which is 1/4 of the rated load of the generator. So I got this dialed in to 250 watts, and we'll go ahead and use this as our load. All right, now we got the generator running at a 250 watt load. We'll come back in 4 hours and see what the consumption is. All right, it's 4 hours later. I brought the propane tank in. Yes, it does have some snow on it, but that's not going to affect the weight. Let's go ahead and put it on the scale and see how many pounds of propane it used over the last 4 hours. So there you have it. There's the final result after 4 hours of runtime, 30.2 pounds. So we'll subtract the before and after number to see how many pounds total. So we did a little math. We found out the ALP generator consumes 0.4 pounds of propane per hour. These are considered a 20-pound tank. Now, they don't ever fill them all the way up to 20 pounds, but we're just gonna call it 20 pounds because that's what the tank's called. So at 0.4 pounds per hour, you can run 50 hours on one of these tanks, assuming that it is 100% full. Now, seeing that they only fill them up 80% most of the time, that means you can expect 40 hours off of one of these tanks, which is actually pretty good. Now remember, that's only under a quarter load, 250 watts. That would be enough to charge batteries or run some small appliances, small devices. If you're gonna run an air conditioner, that would obviously consume a lot more fuel. Captain Hoodie here. Actually, I decided to do another consumption test on the generator. I figure most of you guys are probably going to want to run a small window air conditioner unit on it. Those usually take 550 watts while they're running. So I decided, let's see what the consumption is going to be. Pretty much double the wattage that I just did the test on, which is around 31% of the capacity. We'll take that up to 2/3 of the capacity of the generator, which would run a 5000 BTU wall window air conditioner. So very cold outside, so we'll make this quick. So here's the setup I got going. I got the generator running a solar generator. As you can see there, I have it running about 550 watts. Greetings, welcome to day 3, final day of testing the ALP generator. Now I currently have about 16 hours on the generator total. I just ran an additional 4 hours at 550 watts load to simulate running a small 5000 BTU air conditioner. It ran without any problems for those 4 hours. So we're gonna take the tank off and go weigh it, and we'll find out how much propane does this use at 66% power. All right, 27.2 pounds. So it took exactly 3 pounds of propane to run 4 hours at 550 watts. So that means you can expect out of a full 20-pound propane tank, 26 hours of runtime to run your air conditioner. That's actually not too bad. That is much better than other propane generators that I've seen, but those are all dual fuel. When you have to do dual fuel, you have to compromise. When you have a pure propane generator, they seem to be a little bit more efficient. So 26 hours on a full 20-pound tank, and of course that assumes the compressor never shuts off. You might be able to double that number if the compressor turns on and off 50% of the time. So not too bad at all. So that means generally you can expect 3 to 4 days of air conditioning off of one 20-pound tank. Now if you carry 2 of these, there you go. You have a whole week's worth of air conditioning, 8 hours a day, no problem. I know you guys want to know, how loud is it? So in order to test the sound level of the generator, we have the generator here and the sound meter 3 feet away, or 1 meter. So let's see how many decibels it is. This is eco mode under no load. It looks like we're around 73 decibels with no load on eco mode. Now let's go ahead and turn it up on regular mode. Looks like we're at 76 decibels at 1 meter in regular mode. Well, let's go ahead and add a load to the generator. That's 100 watts, 200 watts. Looks like we're about 78, 79 decibels. 300 watts, we're at 80 decibels. 400 watts, 82 decibels. 500 watts, 84 decibels. 600 watts, 85 decibels. And it doesn't seem like it gets any louder after that. So for our final test, we're going to do a load test of the generator to see how much power can we get out of it. Now remember, we're at 7,000 feet above sea level. For every 1,000 feet above sea level, you can expect 3% loss in power. So that means we can expect to lose 21% power from this generator at this elevation. That means this 800 watt generator shouldn't really be able to put out more than about 630 watts. Now this is pretty cold today. It's near freezing conditions, so that's going to help it a little bit. But let's see exactly how much we can pull out of this before it shuts down. Okay, we're at 530. Okay, the overload light is blinking at 600 watts. That's about what we expect. Now it doesn't actually shut down when the light's blinking. It'll keep running. It's just warning you that it is at the limit of its power. So even at 7,000 feet, you can still get 600 watts out of it, which is pretty good. That's a lot better than my Sportsman. See the lights start to blink faster and faster as we slowly ramp it up. See right around 660, 670, it's on solid. That means it's gonna shut down. Let's back it off a little. So there we go. We're actually able to pull the rated amount for this elevation. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all for 800 watt generator at this elevation. Now I know if I don't do it, I'm gonna get asked. I'm plugging in the battery clamps to the 12 volt output on the generator. Let's see what kind of voltage we're getting and what kind of sine wave we get. All right, as you can see, at low idle in eco mode, we're getting 14 volts. Let's put it on regular mode. Doesn't seem to make any difference. Add a load, again, barely any difference. Just a little bit increase in voltage, not much. Hopefully you can see that. The sine wave is perfect, 124 volts at 59 hertz. So we're right on the money. So as you can see from the results, the ALP generator is actually pretty efficient on propane. It's one of the most efficient propane generators I've seen to date. What's really nice is it does have a regulated 12-volt output. It seems to be regulated around 14.1 volts. Allows you to safely charge pretty much any kind of battery you can think of, and that's nice. So it doesn't matter how much the engine is revving up or down, you're going to get that constant 14 volts out. So what do I like about the ALP? The fact that it is very compact. This flush handle, nothing sticking out on the sides, makes it very easy to store. In fact, I could put this inside my cargo bag on the back of the van, and it would take up about as much space as a 5-gallon bottle of water. I also like the fact that this can be paralleled. You can buy 2 ALP generators and parallel them together with an accessory cable and double your power. But one of my favorite features is the built-in LED light. More generators should have this. As long as it's running, you can turn the LED light on, and it is very bright. It lights up the whole area around you and makes it very easy to see plugging things in. I also like the fact that it's very efficient on propane. I never really wanted to buy a propane generator before because they suck a lot of propane. Usually one of those 20-pound tanks, you burn through that in one day running an air conditioner, and we found out you can actually run an air conditioner for 3 or 4 days off of one 20-pound tank. That's pretty awesome. And with the included hose, you can actually run these little 1-pounder tanks. Now, if you're doing a 25% load on the generator, you can expect a couple of hours out of this. You're not going to run your air conditioner for very long off of one of these. So I do like that it is economical and versatile. Now, what don't I like about the generator? Well, the fact is you do need to have a screwdriver to add, remove, change oil. That's kind of a bummer in 2020 as we expect toolless ways to change the oil in these. I also really don't care for the fact that it is only an 800-watt generator. I really wish it was more like a 1200-watt generator, but it is what it is. If it was a bigger generator, it wouldn't be as efficient. This is going to suit most people's needs. If you're running a small air conditioner or a small refrigerator or small appliances, anything with less than 1,000-watt surge, this should run no problem. Now, even up here at 7,000 feet elevation, I still got almost 700 watts out of this, which is really fantastic. And as many of you already know, propane does have less energy in it than gasoline. A normal gasoline generator is about the same size and puts out the same power. So somehow they got this all very compact, and I think it's because there's no gasoline tank. You don't have to worry about spilling it, you don't have to worry about the smells. And this actually smells much better running than a gasoline generator, so that's one of the things I do like about it. And as for the safety factor, propane is generally safer than gasoline. You can't spill it. If you get it out in the air, it's likely not to explode unless you're in an enclosed space. Now, what else don't I like about the generator? Well, it is kind of loud. Now, they say in the brochure like 54 decibels or something. I didn't see that in my testing. I saw mid-70s decibels on the lowest setting with no load. So it's certainly louder than a Honda or a Yamaha, but then again, this is half the price. Now, if you're interested in the ALP generator, of course, I have a special promo code for you. If you look in the description below, there's a link to the ALP generator website. They do not sell these on Amazon, so don't go look it on Amazon for this. You have to buy it direct from their website. So go into the description below, there's a promo code there. Add the ALP propane generator to your shopping cart, type in the code, and then you'll get for free one of these $25 steel braided hoses. Now, it's a very high quality hose, very good gaskets inside. This should last you a very long time. And you need this hose in order to run this off of a 20-pound tank. The hose they give you with this only lets you run it off of a little 1-pounder tank. So you will absolutely want to get this hose. So again, how this works, go to the ALP generator store, pick a color. There are many different colors this generator. I asked them to send me blue because everything else I have looks like a Jackery and is orange. Add it to the cart, type in the code. You will get this hose sent automatically to you for free. Don't forget, you have to add that code in order to get this deal. Thanks for watching. If you learned something today, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below. And if you're not a subscriber already, you know what to do. That's it for now. Till next time.
reminds you to like and subscribe, and clean my litter box.
And there's Thor, patiently waiting for something to pop its head out of the hole over there. He's been sitting there for hours, staring at a hole in the wall. Go figure.
RV Golf Guy, Z Foxfire, Jack Smith.